Hey guys, this is Mrs. Gebhardt, and I just wanted to take a second to go over the metric conversion like we started in class. I've also, at the end of this slideshow, have provided 4 examples that you guys can use to sort of walk through how to do metric conversion. So let's begin, by looking at the objective. So obviously you should be able to accurately make metric conversions by the time you are done. Just a reminder from what we learned in class, I put the letters of the King Henry died, you didn't care much at the top of the page so you can see King Henry died, you didn't care much. So we want to remember that those prefixes represent different types of things that we would put in terms of measurement. So we have the K being the kilo, the H being the hecta, the D being the deca. This is the unit, and this is the area that we need to make sure we don't forget. Those units are the base units, so that's the grams, the meters, and the liters. Then we go to deci, and we've got the centi, and here's the milli. Sorry for all my drawing and decoration on here, but I'm getting used to doing this kind of thing, so you'll see my artwork throughout the whole slideshow. Alright, so next, some rules for using the K, H, D, U, D, C, M, which is listed right up here. The decimal point will always start and end to the right of the letter. So when we start our loops like we did in class, we always want to put that decimal point to the right of the letter. So if I've got the letter K, my decimal point is going to go to the right. It always will start or end to the right of that letter. Sorry if you hear a cat meowing, that's my cat. Anyway, your starting point depends on what measurement you're going to be given. So if let's say, for example, I had 100 centimeters, I'll have to start at the right of the C. Then you'll have to determine where I need to end. So let's say that I wanted to know I measured 100 centimeters and I wanted to know how many kilometers that was. My end point would be to the right of the K. So if I'm centi, I'm starting right here, and then I'm going to move this way and end right here with K. So let's practice a couple of problems. Alright, I've got 200 grams, and I want to know how many kilograms that is. So remember, grams, and let me actually make my pen a little bit wider because it's harder to write with this, so pardon me. But my grams makes me start right here at the unit because grams is a base unit. So I'm going to start with my decimal point to the right of my unit. Remember, I'm heading to kilograms, so I need to make my loops to the left. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and that's where I stop, always to the right of the letter. So with 200, I've got to go 3 decimal points. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. So my answer is 0.200. Okay, and of course the unit is kilogram. All right, my next example is 70 milliliters, and I want to know how many liters I'm going to start with. So I have to start here to see my milliliters, and that is where I start. So milli has me starting over here at M. My end point is liters. And remember, liters are a base unit. I'm actually going to do this in black so it might be easier to see. So I start at the M to the right, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. So when I start here, my decimal point is, here's my decimal point, it's to the right of my 70. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, which means I will need to add a 0 in front of the 70. Okay, let's do another one. Alright, now I've added in hectometers, and if you see hectometers or decameters or decimeters, I will write out hectometer because I know it's not a unit of measurement that you're used to. More than likely in anything that we do in class, you're probably going to be doing something in terms of centimeters and meters and kilometers, but I figured let's just throw in a hectometer, why not? So hectometer, let's recall this right here, this is the hectometer, that's my starting spot. I need to get to centimeter, and centimeter is right here at the C. So I'm going to need to move my loops this way. Okay, so let's start to the right of my hectometer. There's my little black decimal point dot. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So when I look at 50 with my decimal point, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So my answer, I'm going to have to add in all of these zeros. So when I'm done, my answer is 500,000. Okay? Let's do one more problem. So I'm going to have 105 kilograms, and I need to get to milligrams. So again, kilogram is our starting spot. Remember, we're right there at the K. I need to get to milligram, which is so very tiny. It's all the way down here. So I'm going to have to move my decimal that way to the right. So let's start. I'm going to use my black ink pen to designate this. So I'm to the right of my K. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm down here. I'm going to write 105. There's my decimal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to have to add in zeros all along here. So if I look at this, I'm looking at 105 million. So 105, a comma, 1, 2, 3, comma, 1, 2, 3. Okay? So in summary, let's go back and remember this. We have to remember that phrase, King Henry died, you didn't care much. I know some students had said in a class, I don't remember which class, but they said they had learned it a different way about King Henry liking chocolate milk. If you learned it in a different way, that's perfectly fine. If you've never heard of this before, King Henry died, you didn't care much could be the way you remember it. Remember what each of those things stands for. So that King stands for kilo, and I'll put my little pin here. So King is kilo, Henry is the hecta, died is the deca, U is the unit, remember the base unit, so that's the gram, the liter, or the meter. The didn't is the deci, the care is the centi, and the much is the milli. And all you have to think about is when we start over here at the kilo, kilos are huge numbers, and millis are so tiny. So just remember the kilometer is a huge distance, and the millimeter is a tiny distance, and that will hopefully help you put everything in the right order. Always make sure you can tell where your starting point is. So where did you start? Are you starting with having some number of kilograms or having some number of decagrams? That's your starting point. You need to know where you need to go. So if I'm moving to my right or to my left, and then I'm always putting my decimal point to the right of the letter when we look at our saying. If you have any further questions, please make sure you see your teacher, but hopefully this gave you a couple of additional examples that you could use to determine how to make a metric conversion. And I will talk to you all on Tuesday.